Welcome back to the Criminal Minds. Today's story isn't just one of the most haunting missing persons cases in modern history. It's one that changed the way we talk about crime, travel, and justice forever. In this case, we dive into the lies, the suspects, the international manhunt, and the twisted confession that came nearly 2 decades too late. Before she became a household name on every news channel, before her photo was splashed across every tabloid from Alabama to Aruba, Natalee Holloway was just a girl, bright, curious, full of laughter. She was the kind of girl who made friends easily, the type of student teachers remembered long after the school year ended. Born on October 21st, 1986, in Clinton, Mississippi, Natalee was the first child of David and Beth Holloway. She was the sort of child that gave her parents pride and occasional panic. Too independent for her good, always ready to challenge herself, always on the move. Her younger brother, Matt, adored her in that quiet way younger siblings do when they know they can never quite compete, but love you all the same. Her parents divorced when she was still a child. Beth eventually remarried George Jug Twitty, and the family relocated to Mountain Brook, Alabama, one of the wealthiest suburbs in the state. It was where dreams were curated early and teenagers were expected to become doctors, engineers, or lawyers. And Natalee fit the mold, at least on paper. But Natalee was more than grades and GPA. She loved music. She sang in the choir. She was also deeply involved in her church. Her friends said she could walk into a room and completely change the energy, not because she was loud, but because she was magnetic, smart, quick-witted, compassionate. She wanted to be a doctor. She had been accepted into the University of Alabama's pre-med program with a full scholarship. But before college, there was one final reward, the senior trip to Aruba. At Mountain Brook High School, the senior trip to Aruba was more than just a vacation. It was tradition. Each year, over 100 graduates would fly to the Caribbean island for 5 days of celebration. The trip wasn't school-sponsored, but it was so established that many parents hired private chaperones to tag along. The idea was simple: blow off steam, take a final break, and make memories that would last a lifetime. Beth was hesitant at first. She knew how things could go: alcohol, sun, freedom. But Natalee had earned it. She had always been responsible, and more than that, she was trustworthy. She was a girl other parents asked to ride with their kids. She never gave anyone a reason to worry. Still, Beth insisted on a few things: no drugs, keep your phone on, stay with your friends, and above all, stick together. Natalee promised. She wasn't the type to break the rules. She just wanted to relax, dance a little, and come home with a tan and a few inside jokes. The group touched down in Aruba on May 26, 2005. It was paradise: turquoise waters, white sand, the kind of place that felt like it had no problems, no bad endings. The teens were mostly staying at the Holiday in Sunspree Resort on the northern end of the island. Natalee shared a room with a couple of close girlfriends. They spent their days lounging on the beach, riding banana boats, snorkeling, and shopping for souvenirs. At night, they put on sundresses, apply lip gloss, and head out to the clubs. One place stood out: Carlos and Charlie's, a popular local bar with a reputation for letting loose, especially with tourists. It was loud, hot, pulsing with reggaeton and electronic music. The drinks were strong. The boundaries are blurry. This was where Natalee would meet Joran van der Sloot. It was Sunday, May 29th, the last full day of the trip. That night, the students made one final trip to Carlos and Charlie's. Natalee, dressed in a light blue tank top and jeans, was seen dancing, laughing, and drinking. Nothing unusual for a girl celebrating her graduation. At some point during the evening, she began talking with Joran, a tall, charming 17-year-old Dutchman. He was confident, smooth-talking, and flirtatious. Natalee's friend said he told her he was a soccer player and that his father was a judge. Both are half-true at best. Around 1:30 a.m., the group began filing out of the bar. That's when witnesses say Natalee got into a silver Honda with Joran, Deepak Kalpoe, and Satish Kalpoe, brothers of Surinamese descent who were friends with Joran. It was the last time anyone would ever see her alive. On May 30th, the students packed up to head to the airport. Natalee's friends noticed her bed was made, untouched. Her luggage was still in the room. Her passport was on the dresser. She was missing. Panic rippled through the group. Calls were made. Messages went unanswered. That morning, Beth received the call every mother fears. She was on a plane to Aruba within hours. Beth Holloway was not the kind of woman who waited for justice to come knocking. When she arrived in Aruba with Jug and a group of close friends, she went directly to where the answers lived, the Van der Sloot residence. It was barely dawn when the small caravan pulled up in front of a pale house in the suburb of Newark. The island was quiet, barely awake, but Beth was wide-eyed and burning with urgency. They knocked. No police escort. No appointment. Joran answered the door. He didn't look like a killer. He looked like a teenager. Tall, lean, boyish. But Beth wasn't here for impressions. She was here for facts. Where's my daughter? He told her the same story he'd told police. Natalee was drunk. He dropped her off at the Holiday in around 2 a.m. She felt as she was getting out of the car, but laughed it off and walked toward the entrance. Beth didn't buy it. She asked for the exact spot where he dropped her off. Joran pointed vaguely. Beth knew the hotel had security cameras. If her daughter had walked in, they would have seen her. The hotel confirmed she hadn't returned. Joran's story didn't add up, and it wouldn't be the last time he changed it. In the hours that followed, the stories began to shift. Joran now said he didn't drop her at the hotel. Instead, he claimed he and Natalee had driven to the beach near the Marriott Hotel, where they talked and kissed, and she eventually asked to be left there alone. He said he left her sitting on the sand, gazing at the waves. That was version 2. Later, he said that Deepak had dropped both of them off and left, and he, Joran, had walked back home alone. He said Natalee had fallen asleep on the beach. That was version 3. In all versions, Natalee was alive when he last saw her. The Calpo brothers told yet another variation. They dropped Joran and Natalee at the Marriott, and that was it. No story matched. The contradictions were glaring. Investigators began to believe what Beth already knew. These boys were hiding something. On June 9th, 10 days after Natalee vanished, Joran and the Calpo brothers were arrested. Beth was relieved, but it didn't last long. Despite days of questioning, no charges were filed. The boys stuck to their conflicting accounts, but offered nothing solid. There was nobody, no crime scene, no weapon. Without concrete evidence, the Aruban legal system couldn't hold them. They were released. Over the next few months, they would be arrested and released multiple times, each time with new lies, strange leads, and public drama. Joran's behavior grew stranger. He did interviews with Dutch television. In one, he seemed smug, even amused. In another, he cried. But not for Natalee, for himself. As the investigation dragged on with no answers, American media descended on Aruba. Natalee's face was everywhere, blonde, smiling, eyes filled with life. The kind of image that made people stop scrolling and stop flipping channels. People were outraged. A beautiful American girl goes missing on vacation, and the suspects walk free? Critics accuse the Aruban authorities of dragging their feet, protecting Joran's family. His father, Paul van der Sloot, was a judge in training, and fumbling evidence. Beth went on every talk show and pleaded on every platform. She was criticized, too, for being aggressive, for not backing off. But what else was a mother supposed to do? Behind the scenes, it was even worse. Aruban police had missed several key chances early on. They didn't immediately search Joran's house. They waited to seize the car the boys had driven that night. They failed to lock down the beach area near the Marriott. Forensic evidence was scarce, possibly washed away by time. The FBI offered assistance, but local law enforcement was overwhelmed and inconsistent. Public trust crumbled. There were whispers of corruption, of favors being pulled. Some locals said Joran had a reputation, that Natalee wasn't the first girl he had lured into uncomfortable situations. But no formal accusations had ever been filed. Meanwhile, Beth kept digging. She tracked down hotel staff, bartenders, tourists, and anyone who may have seen her daughter. A taxi driver swore he saw a blonde girl in distress. A local gardener said he saw Joran driving erratically that night. A fisherman said he noticed a disturbance near one of the dumping ponds. So many puzzle pieces, none of them fitting together. And all the while, Natalee was still missing. As weeks turned into months, the entire investigation began to feel like a cruel game, and Joran van der Sloot was the one rolling the dice. He began offering confessions, not to police, but to television hosts, reporters, even strangers. Each version contradicted the last. In one version, he said Natalee fell and hit her head. In another, she had a seizure. In another, he sold her into a human trafficking ring. Each time, international media reacted like it was a breakthrough. Each time, he took it back. The Dutch TV aired a controversial hidden camera video in 2008, recorded by an undercover journalist named Patrick van der Em. In the footage, Joran, stoned and reclining in a car, casually admitted he had been with Natalee when she died. She started shaking, and then she stopped. "I didn't know what to do. I panicked." He claimed he called a friend, and together they disposed of her body at sea. The world watched in horror. Was this it? Finally, the truth? But when the authorities followed up, Joran recanted again. He said he was lying to impress the undercover reporter. No charges were filed. To Natalee's family, this wasn't just frustrating. It was torture. By 2009, the official investigation had all but stopped. Aruba declared the case inactive. The chaperones, the students, and even the Kalpoe brothers had returned to their lives. The Holloway family, however, was frozen in place, emotionally and legally. Beth refused to declare Natalee dead. David Holloway, Natalee's father, wanted to keep things private. He moved quietly, hiring his investigators. He believed his daughter might still be out there, trafficked, hidden. He traveled across Latin America chasing tips, even tracking alleged sightings in Venezuela and Colombia. One informant claimed she'd seen a young woman matching Natalee's description on a remote island, surrounded by armed men. It led nowhere. Every lead fizzled out. Still, Beth continued pressing Joran, sometimes even exchanging emails with him directly. She wanted the truth, no matter how ugly, but Joran wanted something else. Money. In 2010, Joran contacted Beth Holloway's lawyer. He claimed he would tell her exactly what happened to Natalee and where her body was for $250,000. Beth agreed to pay $15,000 up front and another $10,000 into a special bank account. The FBI was involved. Surveillance was in place. This was going to be the trap. Joran told them Natalee was buried beneath the foundation of a house in Aruba, a home that hadn't even been built at the time of her disappearance. It was another lie. But this time, there were legal consequences. The U.S. charged him with wire fraud and extortion. A federal warrant was issued before he could be extradited, though Joran made one final move, a move that would finally strip away the last illusion of innocence. On May 30th, 2010, exactly 5 years the day after Natalee disappeared, Stephanie Tatiana Flores Ramirez, a 21-year-old Peruvian student, was found beaten to death in a hotel room in Lima, Peru. She had been with Joran van der Sloot. Security footage showed them entering the room together. Hours later, he left alone calm, carrying her belongings in a backpack. Her body was discovered the next morning. Stephanie had been alive just minutes before he attacked her, all because she looked at his laptop and found files related to Natalee. This time, there were no shifting stories, no Kalpoe brothers, no plausible deniability. Joran was arrested in Chile and extradited to Peru. He confessed, quickly, coldly, "I lost my temper." He was sentenced to 28 years in prison. To the Holloway family, Stephanie's murder was devastating. Not just because another young woman was dead, but because it could have been prevented. If the Aruban authorities had acted earlier, if Joran had been held accountable in 2005, Stephanie might still be alive. Beth Holloway traveled to Peru. She looked Joran in the eye once again. He didn't flinch. She visited the prison, hoping for answers, for closure, for anything. He refused to see her. For years, he would continue to manipulate the public from behind bars. At one point, he got married in prison. He fathered a child. He lived better than many imagined, surrounded by money, media attention, and twisted fame. But in 2023, something changed. Joran made one last confession. In October 2023, as part of a plea deal to reduce his U.S. sentence for the extortion charges, Joran finally admitted what happened to Natalee. He claimed they had gone to the beach after leaving the bar. He tried to initiate sexual contact. She refused. He became enraged. He grabbed a cinder block and struck her in the head. Once. She died instantly. Then, he said, he pushed her body into the water and watched it drift out to sea. The confession was detailed, cold, and without remorse. But the worst part? Nobody was ever recovered. Despite the confession, Natalee Holloway remains legally missing. Without remains, there could be no full autopsy, no grave, no place for her family to mourn. The story ends, but never really ends. Some say Joran's confession was just another manipulation, a calculated move to lighten his sentence. Others believe it's the closest we'll ever get to the truth. For Beth and David, the nightmare has become permanent. Beth declared Natalee legally dead in 2012 after 7 years of waiting. But her motherly instincts never stopped whispering. What if she was still out there, at least for a while? Do you think justice was ever really served in Natalee's case? What should happen to someone who confesses after years of lies and cruelty? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be down there replying. If Natalee's story moved you, please subscribe to this channel. It helps us keep telling these stories. Like this video so more people can hear her name. Share it with someone who believes in justice.